Part 3 of Virgil by Suetonius. Cum Georgica scribere. So when he was writing the Georgics, however you pronounce it, Traditor, it is said that Cotidae daily, mane, early in the morning, he would meditatos in the accusative plural, solitus. So it is said he was accustomed to dictate plurimus verses, many verses, which he had thought about early in the morning. And per totem diem for the rest of the day in retractandoing, the gerund, in retracting them or handling them again, to redigere, to reduce them to their very smallest form. Not absurdly, I've got a verb here, saying that in the moray of a bear, or she-bear, he would parare, prepare his carmens, his verses, his little poems, so that demon finally fingerade them or made them by another gerund by licking them. So that last little bit, he'd said he used to prepare the final form of his verses by licking them in the way of a she-bear. Aeneida. So the Aeneid, prosa oration, prius. So prior, he'd made the Aeneid in prose form and digest them into 12 books. And so we made the Aeneid in prose in 12 books, and particulatim, another adverb of the Tim family, and bit by bit, section by section, part by part, he instituted to componere them. So we began to settle them again, pro ut, just as liberate as you wanted to with his book, quid qua in any way he wanted to, and nihil in no order. He would seize the work and do it in whichever part he felt like, in no particular order. Acne quid, and lest there be a thing, quid's used after ne and ud, etc., just meaning a thing. So there should be no delay to his impetus or the force with which he's riding or the speed. Quaedam, certain things he transmitted, he passed over and left imperfecta, incomplete, they weren't finished. Alia, levismus words, so another place he put in light words as if they were props, full sitting, something you prop up with, which per jokum, which in the way of a jest, bat, he was saying he'd interponated them, he'd put them there as if tibicinus, that isn't a flute player, that's a prop for a building support, to sustain his work. So these weren't finished things, he just put in some words there to prop up the space, probably so he could get the right length, etc., because it's poetry, it has to have certain meters. And he would leave them there, donec, until solid columns, that's pretty much the same in English, ad venerant, until he came up with some proper or finished works. They would remain imperfecta. Bucolica, the bucolics in triennos in 3 years, the Georgics in 7, and the Aeneid was perfected or completed in Enos in 11 years. The Bucolica he produced with a lot of success, so that, I don't know if that's an alternate spelling or a typo, just put the A in there. So on the stage, also, by the way of cantators, or by singers, crebo, frequently it was pronounced on stage, so people would sing it or read it on stage. Gorgica, that's the work by Virgil. What have we got? Augusto reverso, so with Augustus returning, during the act of him returning, post his victoriam of Actia Cam, atqui, and at Atella, that's a locative place, causa, post positive to a genitive, for the sake of reficiendaring his forcium, so of repairing his jaws or giving it time to rest to recover, he commemorated through continuous period of quadriduum, for 4 days continuously he legated the Georgics. So did Virgil read that here while Augustus was recovering his throat? Anyway, this is this guy we talked about yesterday. with him, says skippy ending, with him taking up the reading, legendae, in turn, vicam, quotients, whenever, what have we got, the interpolation, so let's say there's a break or some problem with this offence of his voice. So looks like Augustus was repairing his throat, and also Virgil from reading must have got a sore throat, and so when he got tired of talking for 4 days, this other guy would take up the reading. Pronuntiabat autem, so however or moreover, when he was pronouncing them with suavite, with sweetness, and mirrors wonderfully lenosina, I might steal that word. It's a noun. It's a bit flattering sort of thing, I think it means. And Seneca tradit it. He hands down or says that, and Seneca is accustomed to say that Iulium Montanium, the poet, in voluturum say. That's a future. He wanted to steal, violate some of Virgil's works, certain works of his, or he would have, on a condition, if he was able to have the voice and the os, the face, or the posture maybe of the face, and hypocrism looks like some Greek word, something to do with powerful oratory or something to do with presenting it. For the same verses, with him pronouncing them himself, Virgil would sonore bene, they would sound well, but sine illo, but without him doing it, they were inanes, so it's like sounded empty and mute. Wouldn't be mute as in silent, just monotonous or something probably. Aeneados. Coepta means began, vix means scarcely, usually with vixtum I call it hardly, so the Aeneid had hardly been began, and such a farmer and such great repute extowed was produced, you might want to say, so much so that there's a purpose that Sextus Propertius did non dubur of it, he didn't hesitate, sic thus to praedicere, so he might be making a prediction or just an announcement. Seedite, plural imperative. Seed, Roman scriptors, Roman writers. Seed, you Greek writers. Nescio quid, literally means I don't know what. It usually just means something meos, something greater. Nascitor is born, comparative with the ablative, then the Iliad, which would be Homer's big work. Okay, so Daily Dictionary, Lenosinium. As you can tell, the Leno is usually someone who owns a brothel. So Lenosinium itself, here it was used to use flattery, allurement, enticement, or if you prefer this one, pandering, allurement, enticement, and flattery. That doesn't mention the brotheling bit, but that's what it is. Vero, usually it's post-positive second word, means but. Sometimes you can just put indeed or truly. So Augustus, indeed, was aberrat. He was away, forte by chance, in a expedition Cantabrica, which is some place, and with supplications and etiam, and even with minarchibuses, with threats, per yokem again, in a joking way. He was flagiterating, he was demanding in these letters which are full of threats and supplication and entreaties, that Sibi for himself, something from the Aeneid, to use words of himself, to use his words, or a primer hopograph, I guess that's the first draft of the Carmen, of the poem, vel or quodlibet, whichever you like, colon, and that's another section of the, I guess these are Greek words, should be miterated, should be sent to him, to Augustus. Cui tamen, so to him, nevertheless, multo post, much afterwards, and demum finally, with the material perfected, completa, tres libros, 3 books, omnino, altogether, were recited, probably to Augustus. The secundum, the quartum, and the sextum books, 2nd, 4th, and 6th. Said hunc, affections, but with the affections or emotions, notability of Octavia, It looked like it affected her greatly, which she was interested, she was interested, interest, she was there present at the recital of these three books. Add illos verses to these verses concerning suo filio, concerning her son, you Marcellus eris shall be. She became deficient. And with difficulty focolata est. I don't know if that's warming up again, so it looks like she's passed out, and they had some difficulty re-warming her back to life again, back to a consciousness. Recitavit et pluribus. So he recited also to pluribus people, which is many people. Said nequi, but neither to very frequent crowds. Crowd frequented just means crowded. And ea ferre, and mostly you might want to say that is concerning quibus ambiguit, the bits he was ambiguous or uncertain about. Quo magus, as you know, quo is ut when you have a comparative there. So that more experienter, so to get more of judgment about the judicium, the judgment of hominums, of men, so that you read the bits he was worried about, so that he could get more of a bit of an experience about what these people were feeling. Erotam librarium and libertum eos. So that eos would be Virgil. So erot is a guy he's not a librarian, but he's the guy who writes things for him, or I think they call it a amanuensis or something. And a libertum means he's free man. When Yam already then he had exacted out his senectutus when he completed reaching his old age. Tradunt, they say, he was accustomed to refer to say that quondam once upon a time, or some back in the past, eum him, in the reciting, in recitando, the gerund, he recited 2 half verses. Duos is 2, verses is verses, diminuatos means half. He had he'd filled them out during the reading, 2 half verses, extempore, on the spot. That's it for the day.